Welcome to the Love Pod, where inspiration, vision, and real connection come alive. Wherever you are, you belong here.
Welcome to the Love Pod, everyone. I am your host, Nathaniel. I'm so pleased to welcome our special guest today, Cathy Gagliardi, who is an author, a parent coach, mentor, who is heart-led and here to help children in the best way that she can. Your children's book, Discovering the BELLYFLIES Method, and Giving Your Neurodivergent Child a Voice. Cathy, I'm extremely interested in. I feel like this is such an apt topic, and I know there's lots of parents who want to really, take on a holistic approach to embracing their children who may have neurodivergence and just being more conscious parents. So, welcome to the Love Pod. I'd love to just ask you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about who you are and why you do what you do.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having me here. I'm very excited. Um, I'm Cathy Gagliardi. I'm a mom of two boys who are all grown up by now, and I was very interested in helping children in any way possible. So I started writing children's books to help them with
Mm,
their emotions and anxiety, or helping them to learn to love each other, so that we're all show them that we're all connected. And then I was realizing that it's the parents that needed the help.
mm,
When I was mentoring an autistic fellow to write books, so he's written 5 books,
amazing.
children's books. And I realized that the children that I'm giving the books to are taking them as books and having fun with them, but it's really the parents that need the support, and they need to know that they're not alone.
Mm.
So I researched and wrote this book to help them out if any way that I can, and to help them realize that they're not alone,
Mm.
and that they're doing a great job. Whatever they're doing a great job for sure. And if I can help in any way, this is how I am.
That's beautiful. So, what is the belly flies method, and how did it reveal itself to you?
My first book, it's a sad story. My a friend that I worked with, um, one day I found she wasn't in the office, and it was
Mm.
because her son had taken his life.
Oh my goodness.
And it just jolted me and everybody else, of
Mm.
course, and the stories in the book. But from there, I couldn't sleep at night. I wanted to do something, but what do you do? Like, how do you help anybody? And so I just put my pen to paper, which
Mm.
is usually how I solve my problems. And I started writing this book called Belly Flies. And it was saying that, butterflies in your stomach. Well, this animated little alligator calls it his belly flies. And this is how you make them go away. You run, or you talk to somebody, or you help somebody win something. Or,
Mm.
and and then from there, I used the belly flies method, and I went to using it as an anagram. Is that the word? So every
Anagram.
letter,
Oh,
pardon?
anagram. Yeah, yeah.
So every letter means something. So B is for believe, E is for engage emotions, L is for listen, and the next L is for love. Y is for yoga,
Mm.
F is for focus, L is for lead, I is for imagination, E is for encourage, and S is for sensitive. And each one of those, it delves into how we can use these little words, these easy words, to make such a huge change in the family
Mm.
atmosphere. So, like taking the frustration away, taking the nervousness away, or the
Mm.
blame, or anything like that. So it
That's
was
really
really fun.
That's really beautiful. I mean, acronyms are near and dear to my heart, and
Acronym.
I appreciate the way you use that acronym because to me, the more that I've learned about neurodivergence, like we were just talking a little bit over the before we came on the call, like I realized that I've struggled with this my whole life. I'm very creative thinker, a non-linear thinker, but also I've always been extremely sensitive. And all of those words that you used are, to me, reflections of how to approach a sensitive child who uh, whether it's energetically or chemically sensitive or mentally sensitive. Like, I think those are really, wonderful, wonderful tools for every family to really practice. So, what kind of impacts have you seen those tools, that acronym, the Belly Flies method, have on families and parents that you're helping through this um,
Oh,
awareness in
yeah.
raising their children
And their grandchildren.
and their
So I've
grandchildren?
gotten
Yeah,
grandparents telling me that
beautiful.
when their grandchild comes to visit, they have this information. I have a little bookmark with the acronym right on there, just so that they can keep it handy.
Mm,
Um, and it will help. It helps them. But then when they go home, the parents also have the book and they're learning from it, so that it's a combined effort in raising this child and helping this child to be um, healthy, have a healthy emotional life, you know. So yeah, I'm getting a lot of great responses.
amazing.
And yeah, and teachers too. They just like to have this here, and it has some charts in it. And I'm going to make the charts big so you can stick on your fridge
Okay.
because it's easy to look at, right? But
And
the charts are in the book.
what are the charts for, Kathy?
Emotions.
Okay.
So we have emotions so that they could just point to the emotion.
Hmm.
Um, tasks to do to make it easier. Set the table, vacuum, and there's other ones as well, but the emotion one is the most important one. I feel
Hmm.
that when you don't know what's bothering you and it's blocking you from thinking or going farther, um, you can feel it in your stomach or your chest or your head, but you don't know how to release that, and you don't know how to name it. So I think if we teach the children that this means this emotion,
Mm.
this face means sad, like to teach them. And some children who aren't verbal can really benefit from that as well.
Mm. Yeah, no, I think that's really important. Emotional intelligence and like emotional competence in conscious parenting seems like such an important subject. And, I feel like there's been a huge paradigm shift in terms of being more aware of emotional intelligence. I feel like a lot of like my parents' generation, they were often shut down emotionally, and that was passed on for families that maybe were not as emotionally mature. And that has big implications in a family when there's emotional dysfunction. It can lead to all kinds of other, dysfunctional behaviors and lack of harmony. So I can see how that alone could really shift things. What are some like of your favorite transformation stories that you've seen in adopting this kind of thing?
I one little thing you brought to mind was when a child came up to me and said, "I told my daddy he has belly flies, and this is what he has to do.
Oh, that's
Talk to me, daddy." That was
wonderful.
that was really good because it's like
Mm,
linking the generations
yeah,
together
yeah.
and helping them both ways. But I'm finding that um, families that have struggles in them, either a health issue or a separation, or one of the children has health issues or anything like that. I think all these things are important as well, um,
Hmm.
to calm them down and to realize that that's not their fault. When
Hmm.
everything that's going on is not your fault. And one of the letters in here is F for focus, and it's focus on calm until settled.
Mm,
So if they can do that, when things start getting hairy and overwhelming, if they can find a picture to focus on, or
mm,
just something that the family is involved in, like something, a picture that the family loves or something, and then they can just relax, and until they start
mm,
easing down and then go on with their day.
mm,
I found that a lot of people are saying that, and planning ahead for like autistic children or
mm,
anxious children is really important. And I know it's a lot of work. I know, but it's helps ease the frustration of the moment.
mm. Yeah, it's so important, that word focus. I feel like it's like other words, like as children, we're either telling our children or we've been told like concentrate, focus.
Right,
And
right.
yet I love that you've anchored it in a family way that's inclusive of everyone, because I feel like my friend Paul Schaffenberger, who was on the show earlier, and I were just talking this AM. We get together and do rising pages together, and we were talking about
Mhm.
discipline, as it's very essential to have discipline in order to experience freedom in life. And yet we have this concept of discipline being this externally imposed thing, when really, if it emerges from the front, from the inside out, especially like focus, like if we're told to focus and we're forced to
Right.
focus, like someone who has ADHD can hyper focus. I know I learned to do that in
Yeah.
school, but it was survival. It was like, how do I achieve the maximal grade point average so I'm never in a position of failure, because that stressed me out so much in my early years. And so I learned to hyper focus, but to the probably the detriment of my social life and all the other things that I could have been, had I had a skill that was inclusive of teaching me how to focus in a healthy way and how to be more sensitive to my needs, but I didn't
Right.
know how to communicate that. So I love how you've anchored that in a family dynamic. So it really makes it more of an inclusive, a
Mhm.
holistic feeling. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I can see like moms, there's one mom who will sit down behind her. I put this in the book and she took this advice. She sits down behind her child, wraps her arms around him, and because he lets her, like she doesn't grab him, but she just wraps her arms around and they both focus on a picture. And it's a picture of the family.
Mhm.
And so it just calms everybody down. She said that she could feel the tension seep out of him.
Mhm.
And I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. That's so important, right? Because it's only when we're in a relaxed state of being that we can actually be in true enjoyment of life. And it's interesting too, like I've wondered about why there is an increase in, in ADHD, in other neurodivergence in our society, like autism and things like that. And it's because it seems to all be associated with an increase in sensitivity with people. And I feel like sometimes I like looking at things backwards, in the sense that it isn't that these qualities are bad, but they point to a sensitivity. And I think Gabor Mate talks a lot about this. Like, we live in a society that is unwell, and fixates a lot on behavior that is not conducive to our well-being, like overachieving,
Hmm.
being in constantly high levels of beta, not being relaxed, not, like, we're the only species that pays to live and pays to eat. It's so there's always these impositions that put a pressure on us. And yet these sensitive ones who come into the world, they may be showing us, like, other ways of being, if we will spend time and really go into their world,
Right.
and develop a greater awareness of how they're perceiving things. It reminds me of I don't know if you read this book, Happiness is a Choice by Barry Neil Kaufman.
Oh,
Have
no,
you
but I
read this?
will.
No.
No, but I
Yeah,
will
I
have
would
to.
highly recommend it, because they had a extremely autistic child, and he was told by them, sorry, uh, he- they were told by professionals, like several, they got several opinions, that their child was just, he was so deeply autistic that he would never really amount to anything in society. And I don't know how they managed to do it, but as Barry Neil Kaufman says, they, like, his wife and he quit their professions and then just fully entered into their son's reality. So he was nonverbal, and they would mimic him and, like, learn how he communicated, whether it was grunting and mimicking his movements and stuff. And eventually they developed such a rapport and connection with him that they were able to start sharing with him about their world and bringing their world into his world. And he not only became, like, like a very like a top academic student, he also became a star athlete. And to me, that spoke a
Wow.
lot about the potential that is in a lot of these, whether it's an
Wow.
emotional intelligence, or the quality of the different kinds of intelligences that neurodivergent children are bringing into the world at this time, that are
Right.
necessary for our flourishing as a species.
Right. I totally agree. There's so much that be in their world. I really go into that. That's accepting them for who they are and accepting yourself for who you are. So I find that if um, if they accept themselves as them, as their individual self, but connected to everybody else, as their individual selves. It gives them strength and it
Mm,
gives them confidence that we're all going in the same direction. We're all going to help each other out. And I think that when we say go in the world, it's to, if they say, I want this hamburger, but I don't want the bun. I want the lettuce on the outside.
mm,
What's wrong with that?
mm,
I think I think we just have to accept more things. And I think also that the reason that there's more neurodivergence is because it's more visible. We're
mm.
accepting it. We're looking now. I think that before it was just put aside.
Okay.
That's just how that person is. Don't bother with them. That's how
Mm.
they are. But now it's we're bringing everybody together and saying, look, let's like make this world better.
Yeah.
Let's make each other better, and let's accept everybody for their qualities and their and help them with their challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
love that.
yeah, I think that if we're sensitive, if everybody is sensitive to everybody's challenges and everybody's um, a cheerleader for everything that they can do and want to do and need to do, then we can grow intelligently. I think intelligently and have a mental well-being of the whole entire family or of the whole entire um, care group, or however we put it, the classroom. But I
Mhm.
think it has to be that that there's a lot of neurodivergence out there. Maybe all, I don't know. Like maybe we
Good
all have
point.
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like to say that too much because there's, people that are autistic and they have a lot of challenges. Look at people that are have anxiety, and they they don't really see the joining of them. So
Hmm.
if we can do that and say, look, we're all suffering from something, we're
Hmm.
all challenged by something, and we all have such good qualities, then
Hmm.
they'll feel confident, and other people will feel confident, and they'll strive, I think.
Yeah, you're speaking my language, Kathy, because the way I look at it as really from a holistic lens, we're all interconnected parts of Mother Earth. And I really see
Exactly.
us having a symbiotic relationship with it. Even if we just look at our bodies, we are walking symbionts. We have like so many microorganisms. If they were all in conflict with each other, well, that's unhealth. Like that's
Right.
dis-ease. And I see us
Right.
as human beings, what you're talking about, like in a family and then in a community, in a classroom, like that kind of harmonious mutual reciprocation of communication
Hmm.
when we are all attuned to the needs of everyone. I feel like we're 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 kind of like our guidance antennae are up, and we're seeking a greater harmony where we're all inclusive. And I feel like this is the destiny and probably the intention of our species. But we've been
Yeah.
told a lot of things that have caused a division between us, whether it's
Right.
belief systems or just the belief that we are separate. I think that's a fundamental belief. We talk a lot about independence in North America, and I feel like that is totally an illusion. There's no such thing as independence. There is interdependence, where we are all taking 100% responsibility for our beingness, our consciousness, and we're participating in that. And that is like a form of mastery, but it's recognizing that we're interconnected and that we have impacts on other people, especially our children. We talk a lot on this show about you know the vision, a higher vision for our world. I have several acronyms that I like to use for it. Like world enlightenment requires that we do it together, WE. And really this concept of like heaven on Mother Earth, but not being a place we go to, but literally a consciousness that we can embody in recognizing that we all come from um, some root in love. And this idea that
Exactly.
and all children know it. And I feel like as we grow up, I was listening to Robin Sharma talk about this. We become degraded children in a way. Like we take on beliefs of separation, beliefs of the world, life is hard, and we start talking that
Yeah.
way. And our children, I remember looking at the grown-ups in my life and around me and being like, you guys are playing a game. Like you're not seeing the
Yeah,
miraculous, the wonderment in
yeah,
life. Like I was just
yeah.
looking at a caterpillar and it's
Yeah.
amazing. Like have you when was the last time you looked at a caterpillar, you know?
Yeah,
So I feel
yeah,
like these sensitive children, and I'm grateful that we're more aware of them. They have such profound messages for us. And I often feel like if we were just flip the world on its end and like put children in speaking roles where we could listen to the wisdom that they're offering and use that wisdom to remind us of the journey that we're on and how
right.
precious and sacred life is.
Yeah. Some of my books, there's two books that I wrote that for children. One is I Love Ice Cream, and the other one is
I love
Mother
that.
Love. And it's the same thing. It's a kid saying, I love ice cream. Is that what love is? And
Mm,
then they find out, well, love is, yes, it's exactly what love is. You love your um, the farmer who's has the cows. You love the cow. It's part
mm,
of the world. You love the food that feeds the cow. You love like
mm.
all the way up. And then look, you have ice cream, and that ice cream is filled with love.
Yeah. That's a
Or mother love,
beautiful
the
expression
same
of the
thing.
interconnection of love. Yeah. You
Mhm.
know, and I feel like love is this ineffable thing that we, again, have formed beliefs about, whether it's we've been Hollywoodized in our beliefs of that love is romantic or it's conditional in a
Right.
way, like if you do something for me, I'll do it for you. But really,
Yeah.
love is like, I love that illustration because it reminds me of the importance of having gratitude for our food
Right.
that we eat and recognizing like all the hands it passes through, all the work that went in, but also just the miraculous nature of things that grow. I mean,
The
we
earth.
bear
Yeah.
it's just it's so amazing,
Yeah.
and yet it's easy to just normalize life, go from our A to B, from our box to
Uh,
box, and just kind of go back and forth, and then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you realize you've lived a whole life and you didn't really pay attention
right.
until something happens where you realize how important those and sacred those things are. So that's beautiful that
Yeah.
you've chosen the outlet of children's books. Why do you focus on children's books and not like writing books that are, more for grown-ups? What made you focus on children first?
That's all I wanted to do my whole life was be a mommy.
Beautiful.
and that they're so precious. I feel that children are they're so open and they learn everything. They're like sponges.
Hmm.
So they learn what we put out there. So what we put out there better be full of love
Yeah.
because it will like eventually push all that love out if we don't.
Mm,
And the burden of blame, we have to, take that away and just treat our children like they're people because
mm,
they are the ones that see like you say, the
yeah.
truth. And I tried to volunteer for children's uh, the hospital for children just to volunteer, and they said no, we don't take volunteers. But it just so happened that they were taking in like children that had like spina bifida and other very debilitating diseases, and they were going to go for a reading session. So I thought, oh my gosh, I want to go. This is before my books. So they let me go in, and oh, the love in that room. I like they were sitting on me, sitting beside me.
Mm,
And I just have goosebumps just thinking about it.
that's beautiful.
Um, there's so much love in there. And then when I left, I was just beaming,
Mm,
and I couldn't believe that these children that had so many problems were so filled with love. Why isn't the whole world like that?
mm,
Whether you have issues or not, I mean, whether you have issues, everybody has issues.
sure. Part of the journey.
Yeah,
So why do
yeah.
you think that is, Kathy? What's your best guess so far?
Uh, because they have the magic still. Uh,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
don't have the heaviness of what we see and take in as our own fault or
Mm-hmm.
something that we should be fixing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, they
So
just live.
the self-judgment and criticism, because that's what I was asking you, is that answer to the question, like, why isn't the whole world still in a state of love? I feel like that's probably the underlying question that a lot of masters have asked before their enlightenment, like because there's this, if we all come from that, and truly, if you
Yeah.
think about it, we all come from an active love, and we grow miraculously from a seed and an egg. I repeat this all the time because it's
Yeah.
just the truth,
It
and
is.
and
Yeah.
and we're trillions of cells walking around as if it's like
Yeah.
a totally normal thing, like it's we barely
Yeah, I
comprehend it
agree. I
scientifically,
know.
and
Yeah.
we've normalized
Yeah.
it. And yeah, I wonder about that a lot. Like, what prevents us? I remember, I don't know about you, like your journey. I actually have memories from being younger than like a couple months young as a baby. And I have a lot of memories. I have memories of dreams I had when I was like a baby, like young
Oh my
toddler.
gosh.
Yeah, I have one of those memories that just is like a
Wow.
journalistic memory, and I remember things very lucidly. As long as as I'm paying attention, I remember things.
Right. Wow.
And
It's amazing.
yeah, I guess it has been a gift. It's allowed me, and I think it
Yeah.
is closely associated to just being very sensitive and just like
Yeah.
being able to tune into people, and I always felt like there was this kind of harshness in this world. I feel like I'm more used to maybe a subtler dimension of things on a consciousness level where there is
Yeah.
more love and that's all there is. And
Right.
we're in a time where we're in a really interesting time. My background in Indigenous wellness has had me be in the privilege of being in many circles, listening to elders, talking
Yeah.
about the prophetic times that we're in, this time of great awakening, and realizing there's lots of people kind of awakening to these latent gifts. And I see these really profoundly gifted souls coming into our world. I mean, this
Hmm.
is my worldview. Like, I feel like there's intentionality to like uplift the
Yeah.
consciousness of humankind. And I really feel like the more that we can listen, because what what would you say is sensitivity when you're like, because you have this experience of being around a lot of neurodivergent children, what makes someone more sensitive or less sensitive?
I think, well, there's empathy for sure. Um, but I think putting yourself, like letting yourself go into,
Mm,
like not saying this is how it has to be done. This is, you have to achieve this and you have to achieve that. I think draw back from that and uh, be in the now and um, remember remember the why. Like remember why you're doing something, not just go ahead and do it, but why
mhm,
that person is special to you. Is it their smile? Like you love the whole person, but there's something that's extra special, and the challenges seem to go away. But
mm,
I think being
mm.
sensitive is listening, like
Yeah,
listening and hearing.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's really,
I appreciate that. And it's so simple as that, right? Like I feel
yeah,
like when I think, because I think one of the greatest gifts I've given myself is I've been um, a pretty consistent meditator for the last two
mm,
decades, and I feel like that's saved me a lot of pain when I look at how ADHD and things have affected other people. I still
right,
have a lot of the challenges in terms of like trying to live in this linear kind of society where everything
yeah,
has to be a certain way, because I've
yeah,
always felt like even my concepts of time and everything's very
mm,
3D and very even like it's very like web and based. And Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this. Like one of the greatest lies we're told is that we're linear beings living a linear life when we're really
right.
multidimensional beings living a multidimensional life.
Yeah, it's so
We're
interesting.
Isn't it? And I feel like
Yeah,
neurodivergent children, whatever that term means, because I feel like
yeah,
it's almost like this blanket term to explain um, a more expansive awareness in terms of those sensitivities. I feel like it
and
points to something. Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh yeah, and I agree with, and just a different way of thinking. So
Hmm.
it's just like an easy way of saying it is a different way of thinking,
Hmm.
and whether they can explain this way they're thinking, it doesn't matter. It's just
Hmm.
how they're explain how they do things, and
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't say they because I'm included in there too.
Yeah, yeah. And I agree with you. I think it's a level of I think we've been
Right.
we've been sold this myth of normalcy that
Ah,
that
yeah,
we are supposed to fit in certain boxes, when one of
yeah,
the most fascinating things I find about human beings in general, Kathy, is just how unique and individual
Ah,
each and every one of us is. Like
I
that's
love
like one
that.
of the richest parts of being human. That's why I love doing this show because I feel like
Yeah.
I love amplifying just, the
Mm.
stories and the voices of people like yourself because you have this, I believe that we all have a unique soulful purpose why we come here and that only we can do that. It's not the scarcity of like if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it. Like
Yeah.
I don't
No.
think that's in the spirit of things. I feel like we come here to have a truly authentic, rich experience of life, which does have the polarity of those challenges. But I feel like we're preparing or we're being prepared for something far greater than we could even imagine as a species currently.
Yeah. Like this book, like it was a mission. It was not something that I could do or didn't have to
I
do
love the symbol
if I
there.
wanted to. Yeah.
It's a mission, right?
Um,
You felt
it
called to it.
I just
How did the inspiration come to you?
um I had to give something. I knew that I had to give something. I just didn't know what. And I looked back into my experiences and talk about my first book. I thought that first book was the star shooting.
Mm,
And I had to just follow that star and
mm,
just I had to keep on going into it and researching and finding out more and more. But there was there was nothing saying you can do it if you want.
mm.
No, it had to be done.
It had to be done. That's
Yeah,
very interesting. Yeah, I feel that way about a lot of what I do. It's just even what we're doing right now with Lightheart Vision. The inspiration for it was Julie and I had this inspiration for the name of this, which we didn't know exactly what it was, and then we finally realized it's an education association, but we call it now a profound education
oh
association
yeah,
instead of just a private one because we realized that the root etymology of education is totally used backwards in the school system. It's,
yeah,
we're told education is like going through all these institutions and like learning a bunch of stuff and cramming it all in
yeah,
and then being tested on it. But the root word of education means to educe, educare, like to draw out or bring
yes,
out what is within, which is that's totally not what school is
that's
at all. They don't
right,
encourage us to bring out what is within. They tell
that's
us what's
right,
right and then they test us on it. And so we're
yeah,
like, we need to create something. And then having a natural home birth where I had the opportunity of catching our daughter, who is a very
oh,
sensitive little girl, and she has a strong will. She knows what she wants. So it's really beautiful. She just turned 2 years
oh,
young on
congratulations.
last Sunday. So she's really starting to come into herself. She's using, the word I and things now
Ah,
more. And I'm like, okay, but remember, we're all interconnected. I don't want her to lose that
yeah,
awareness, right?
yeah,
And I want to preserve her genius. So
yeah,
Julie and I agreed that we won't institutionalize her in any way. We're going to do our best to keep our family together, and we're going to do the work
wow,
of community building and
yeah.
entrepreneurism and everything, all the offerings that we have together. Because
Ah,
the idea of putting her into a school where I don't know what she's learning, and we're gonna have a disconnection that's gonna happen over time. Even daycare, I
yeah,
question like, should children be in these groups
yeah,
of children when that's not really in the developmental stage that they're meant to be in? They're really one-on-one still when they're in that age. And so
yeah.
we've questioned
Mm.
everything, and no judgment to anyone who
Wow,
is
that's
in
amazing. Yeah,
institutions. But I
yeah,
feel like because I know she's going to be so sensitive, like she would be robbed of her will, that strong will that
yeah,
I feel will be of service to many as in leadership. If she was put into a desk and told she cannot move and she has to put up her hand, she would resist that. I know she would fight
yeah,
it and she would probably be labeled, as a
yeah.
problem
And
child.
then,
Yeah.
yeah, and then the qualities start dissipating.
Exactly. She'll shut down
Yeah,
emotionally. And so,
yeah.
anyways, Lightheart Vision, her name means light. So she is really
Ah,
when she the moment of her emergence into this
mm,
world, her presence and the gaze that she had in her eyes, Kathy, was so incredible. She was
mm.
so present and she just looked at me like she was waiting to see me and
Yeah,
then
like I
turned and
know
looked at
you.
her. Yeah, she knew me.
Yeah,
And I was like, this is the greatest miracle I've ever seen. And
oh yeah,
I've experienced some pretty profound miracles in my
yeah.
life that I've shared about openly, but that miracle reminded me of how we are truly all miracles. We just forget. And it's like we have this
We
journey of
do.
remembering. And it's through the
Yeah.
children that we do. So I really appreciate how you have taken on that role as an author of especially children's books, because that's been
Yeah.
a big near and dear to my heart, and so I really appreciate you doing that all important work, Cathy.
Thank you. Yeah. I really feel that if we like when I go outside and see a sunset, I just stand there and I can't like somebody painted this for me for sure. And I just absorb it. And then I watch people just walking by, not even looking. So I really feel that if we look up or look
Mhm.
out or just take
Yeah,
that moment all the time, like every hour or every so often,
yeah,
it will just bring you into the earth. I think
yeah,
it'll bring you into the family or the heart.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think
yeah.
that's so important. I think people forget and then they think they're all alone and then they suffer with whatever they're suffering by themselves and
Mm,
it's 100 times worse. So I think that if we
mm.
just, walk the earth and touch it every once in a while, it may help us.
Oh, I think so too. And you know what's really interesting about these times that we live in, like my focus has been, I truly believe that spiritual enlightenment is the solution to all of our problems that we see as problems, because it's the transcendence of the ego. And I don't
Yeah.
think it's this, pie in the sky idea. I think it's
Yeah.
actually just bringing more consciousness into the physical, and a big part of that is grounding our consciousness into Mother Earth. And we have scientific ways of now talking about this. One of our favorite doctors, who's focused on embodiment practices, who I've learned a lot from, is Dr. Sue Morter, and she talks about like the energy center below our feet that
Right.
contains our domain destiny. And from my indigenous wellness perspective, like just looking at the consciousness of Mother Earth, when we connect with gratitude and really just have
Oh,
appreciation, it just changes everything. And now we're learning about like just the science of grounding, for instance, and how like we have 250,000 sweat glands, my understanding is, under our feet that actually absorb electrons. And when we
oh,
connect to that electromagnetic field, all of the inflammation in our body drains, and we
wow.
become more connected to, I feel, that greater consciousness, that greater love that reminds us of how we are truly connected to all of nature. So we're in this
Yeah.
really interesting time where these bridges are being formed between our uh, the scientific, or the high spiritual understandings that every master is taught in different ways, but also this scientific inspired paradigm shift for those who are looking for more greater truth. But nothing beats, we can have all these high level concepts and everything, but spending time with children, like you mentioned in the beginning, like that is just the thing that's the experience that I feel like we all need.
I know. I have a new grandson.
Oh,
He's 10,
congratulations.
almost 10 months. And oh my God. Like I I get shaky if I don't see him very often.
That's
I
amazing.
just yeah, sometimes you just need to hold him and look in his face and feel that, oh my
Mm,
gosh, he just gives off the nicest energy, the
yeah.
bubbliest energy.
They're just pure love, eh? Yeah,
Pure
that's
love, just
beautiful. What
pure
what
love.
is what is his name, Kathy?
Leonardo.
Leonardo. Oh, that's wonderful. Sounds. Do you have a Italian background?
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
family? Same with
Yeah.
Julia. So large
Oh yeah.
Italian family, and yeah, there's lots of love there. So that's so
Yeah.
wonderful. I'm grateful that you have that heart for that. I feel like there's so much busyness and hustle and bustle. It's so important, like
Yeah.
you said, to make room for those sunsets, to make room
Oh,
for the
I know.
beauty, and to really appreciate the moments that we have, because they grow up so quickly, they develop so
Oh,
quickly, and if we're not present and paying
yeah.
attention, we can lose those moments, eh?
You have to appreciate every face they make and every movement they make. And it's just like as they grow, like even my kids, they're older now and I'll look at them and think, wow, look at it's just a
Mm.
miracle.
Yeah. Yeah, totally a miracle. And I
Yeah.
remember being that young, and every day was this big adventure. Like it was everything
Yeah.
was new, and it would be like a day took forever. And
Yeah.
I feel
Right.
like, I hear a lot of people complaining about how time just flies. And I know like there really is only this present moment. So if we're
Right.
not cultivating that presence and it's like you slip it, it's not that the days are really going faster, it's that we're not really making time
Yeah.
because we're the origin of time. Like we create moments, we create the opportunities. Is at least
Yeah.
this perspective that I appreciate. And if we make moments to really, like you said, pay attention to every little facial
Uh-huh.
feature and
Yes.
expression, the humor that
Yeah.
children have, like there's so much that they teach us and remind us of what is important in life.
Like love and gratitude. I mean, that's I think it's the highest thing.
Yeah, I agree. I
I know there
agree.
was a time when I couldn't have gratitude. I had depression,
Mm,
and my counselor said, when you come back, you have to tell me three things you're grateful for, and I
mm,
couldn't.
mm.
Now my list goes on and on and on. Like
Yeah,
every
yeah.
morning, I'm thinking, okay, well, stop it. I just
Don't stop it, Kathy. Don't stop it. We
no,
need more
no,
gratitude in this world.
just for
I think you're
everything.
so it's so important what you're saying. And I feel like it comes down to the simplest things in life. Like we
Yeah,
tend to get our own way by overcomplicating things. But if
yeah,
we will just receive truly
yeah.
receive with gratitude and then give with gratitude, so
Yes,
it's so
yeah,
important to recognize the power that our presence has. And I can tell like how welled up with love that you are, and I know you're a blessing in your family and with
uh,
all the ones that you touch. So it's important to acknowledge that. I feel like presence is not something we often pause to acknowledge in another, but I want to thank you for bringing that presence and all the inner work that comes with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think we're always working on ourselves, aren't we? Like to be the better, to be the best we can be, and not like blaming ourselves, just
Hmm.
working towards like enlightenment, I
Yeah.
think.
I have
Um,
this perspective. Yeah, I read one of Don Miguel Ruiz's books that really helped me see this more clearly. And he talks about, there's a lot of talk around perfectionism, and there's a lot of people who feel paralyzed to do anything until, it's perfect. And then,
yeah,
but that's fear, right? And what
yeah,
perfectionism points to, we label it perfectionism, really is this deep fear of imperfection that
uh-huh,
causes that kind of behavior. And in his book, The Voice of Knowledge, which is part of the Four Agreements, he talks about how it's that belief that we are imperfect that causes all of this disorder. If we would actually
right,
realize how perfect we are, and I feel like the true self that we are, that which you have whatever words for it. I like to think of it as this as the soul. Like we talk about having a soul, but I believe we are the soul, and the soul experiences the the seemingly imperfection of the journey of being a human. And yet when we can zoom out to the whole picture and how interconnected we all are, our imperfections really allow us to have the story. Like if we came in and
right.
just like
We'll
everyone
be
was just a ball of
robots.
light. Yeah, well, or we would
Yeah,
just not have any contrast to experience our true nature.
right.
Like if we were all just like totally turned on in every moment, it would just
Yeah,
be like, oh, you're the light, I'm the light, everything's the light. It's like Neil Donald Walsh talks about like the soul in the sun. It's like
yeah,
it would just be a soul in the sun, be like everything's light.
yeah,
But we have to experience the polarity. But I feel like so many people get to that end of what we call end of life. I feel it's just the turning of a page. And there's that reflection, and it's never, I didn't achieve enough, I didn't work hard enough. It's always this, it's, if there is regret, it's always about not having spent enough time and bringing
yeah,
presence to the loved ones that have
yeah.
been around us that whole time. Those other lights that are
Yes,
maybe clouded over a
I
little
know.
bit.
I know. We have to appreciate being with our people, our
Yes.
tribe, and our family, and like everybody that we work with. I feel that, and anybody when I'm walking in the street or in a mall or something like that, I try to give love out to them. I don't know how that works, but I just feel like I don't know you, but here's some love, here's some
Yeah.
love, here's some
Yeah.
love. And then maybe they can pass the love on to somebody else and grow it.
Hmm.
I
Mhm.
really feel that we're just so connected and so different at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Like,
We're so different, and yet what we truly desire and wish for in our life is so similar. It just takes on different shapes, or
yeah,
forms. Like I feel like we all desire to be healthy, happy, and essentially wealthy to live an abundant life.
right.
But maybe for someone's, picture of abundance, it's just having like being surrounded by, beautiful friends and being able to travel.
Yeah,
And for another person, it's, having a
it's
mansion
different.
and doing all these things. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, no, I actually, I would just like to reassure you that those loving thoughts that you're planning, those loving feelings that you're radiating outward, actually have a measurable impact on our environment and those around us. And this is coming from, a great authority that I've been, privileged to have encountered in my life. But I do believe we are all destined for a soulful experience, or a soulful expression that you are emanating when you treat people that way,
yeah.
Kathy. And you know what it does? I have experienced this for myself. Like one of the things I like to do when I remember to do it, when especially when I'm in a crowd, like if it's a city, I'll see the smiling version of that person as I walk them. Like I'll see the happy version of them,
Oh,
and I feel like we're planting
yeah,
seeds. We ignite that. So when seeing that eternally shining, soulful self in all the
yeah,
people we walk, we draw that out a little bit. To me, that's what being an educator is. We draw it out a little bit because
yeah,
I
right.
love asking people, what's your favorite thing about today? And what that question does, instead of how are you, because people are inclined to socially say, oh, I'm good, and
Yeah,
disregard.
that's
But when
right.
you ask
Yeah,
somebody what's their favorite part of today, they have to think, and usually it brings them to gratitude. So just to bring
yeah,
that full circle to what you said, how important that is like
yeah.
if we all could be a little more grateful for, I mean, we live in the
Everything.
most amazing time to be alive if you think about it. We have like devices that
I
make us look
know.
like wizards to like people just like 20 years ago, you know?
I know. I know. It's just crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows what the next 10 years or so
Oh,
will bring? We might be
I
floating around
know.
on, on clouds. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Oh, yeah. I figure that our life is like a book, and the the meat of the book, the story is your story. The
Mm,
cover, you know how they used to have dust jackets on the cover,
mhm,
that could be changed anytime. The
mm,
politics or the whatever's going on in the news or whatever,
mm,
that could be just changed all the time. But it's the meat of the book that
mm,
that lasts and grows.
mm.
So we
That's
shouldn't
beautiful.
have to worry about that dust cover, you know?
Yeah. That's a beautiful analogy. I really admire that, especially as we think of the book being not just what we believe it is, because we're
Right.
only ever living like, one page, one chapter at a time.
Yes.
We can't see the
Yeah.
full volume that, maybe some would say that's the Akashic records, the whole journey
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
beautiful, Kathy.
Oh, thank
You
you.
have a wonderful presence, and so what is your vision? How do you see yourself growing? Or do you have in the works more children's books, or
Um,
what's your intentions?
I'm really focused on this book, and maybe I can um help more families. So like I have counseling, and I have a lot of experience with autistic children and that. And
Okay.
so if I can get after I get that book out more,
Hmm.
be able to be in people's lives to help them out, or just to give them some security, or just to give them
Mm,
some um, comfort and
yeah.
patience and love. um, maybe I could change a little bit.
I can totally see that in you. And there's some folks that I'd like to introduce you to that are on and within our school community. We have a really beautiful Light Heart Vision school community that there's a lot of homeschoolers and conscious parents and people who I feel like would really benefit from you. If you ever want to know more about like
Oh,
looking at building a school, or you're certainly welcome to join our community. I'm actually focused on creating an interconnection of communities that are focused on making our world a more harmonious place.
oh,
And I'd love to share more about that with you, because one of the
I
things
would
I love
love
about
that.
school, sure, absolutely, we'll get together and talk about it, because school is an authentic place when you talk about forging real relationships with people. There's
Right.
no there's no advertisements, and it's all
Right.
built on authentic connection. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to welcome you there, and if I can be of service to helping you build some of those bridges, that would be my joy and
Oh, yeah,
and
that'd
honor
be
to do
awesome.
that. Wonderful,
Yeah.
Cathy.
Yeah. I
Well,
just love to see the love grow.
that's what it's all about. You know,
Yeah.
I do believe that we are on the verge of, I feel like it's a decision we have. We're on the verge of the highest potential, I would say, of co-creating an era of love and peace
Yeah.
um, in our world, because we have all these emergent capacities that, like, whether it's technology or even just the raising of awareness, like you said, we're more aware of
Yeah.
neurodivergence, we're more aware, and awareness is consciousness. And I feel like, whether you there's so many different angles that we can talk about this, like,
Yeah.
we are actually passing through this interesting time where we're passing through the galactic center as our thing. So there's been prophetic,
Yeah.
of almost all different indigenous cultures have talked about this. Like, there's a raising of consciousness, but it's also bringing to surface a lot of the things that we could be distracted with. Like, when I was a boy,
Yeah.
I could watch like Ninja Turtles for a half an hour, and then it was like
Mm.
stuff I didn't want to watch. But
Yeah.
now, a child can watch like violence
All
on
day.
all day if they want to binge
Yeah.
watch. And not only children, like the,
Yeah.
the more
I
degraded
know.
children that we call grown-ups as
Yeah,
well, they're
I
watching that
know.
stuff, and they shouldn't be
Yeah.
watching that stuff either, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like we have this opportunity, but it really requires us to raise our spiritual maturity, to embrace
Yeah.
love, to be more, to be, as funny as it sounds, to be more serious about gratitude and how to really appreciate those moments of beauty with our loved ones, and to really show up with open hearts.
Oh,
It's so important.
I really appreciate, I gotta say this, I really appreciate my book because when I look back at it and I read a little spot, I think, who wrote this? Where
Mm,
did these words come from?
beautiful.
Like, so wherever those words came from, like, I don't know if it was just from my heart or from the
Mm.
universe or whatever, but some of those spots in there, I think, I don't remember writing that. And so I appreciate whatever energy is around me, all
Yeah.
the energies that's around me.
I think that's beautiful, and you're not the first author to say that has come, like, the important work that you felt called to do has come from an inspired place. So on that note, Cathy, where can people find your books, and specifically the Belly Flies Method?
It is on Amazon.
Okay.
You can find it on Amazon. I do actually have them myself if you want to reach out to me.
Okay, beautiful.
Um, so my email address is Cathy at thebellyfliesmethod.com.
Okay, we'll put those
Easy.
in the show notes. Wonderful.
Okay. But yeah, it's at Amazon. So yeah, if you read it and you like it, leave a review for me that I
Okay,
can
wonderful.
see because I like to hear how people are experiencing the book.
Okay, well, I look forward to reading it myself. I feel like, as we're raising a very sensitive girl and have intention to have more children, as much as I can grow as a conscious parent, it's so important, to
Oh,
meet
I love
them where
that.
they're where they
Yeah.
where they are. So,
Oh,
well, thank you so much
exactly.
for your service to the world, Cathy. It's
Um,
really a privilege having you on the show. And before we close, I'd just like to ask you, I'd love to ask you, uh, if you had a megaphone and you could talk to everyone and share a profound message that is near and dear to your heart, and everyone could hear you, what would you like to say?
um, accept everybody, accept them for who they are,
Hmm,
and just pile love on them.
I love that. I love that.
Mhm.
Accept everyone for who they are and just pile love on them. That alone, that simple choice, I think, would just totally change the face of life on our planet. So, um, thank you
Mm.
so much, Cathy. Really appreciate you. And unless
Thanks.
you have anything
Thanks.
else, you're welcome.
No, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, same. Well, I'd love to invite our daughter Luciana to come and just thank everyone for watching, and to
Uh,
you and all those you touch, Cathy, your family, highest blessings and best wishes, and to all of our listeners out there, blessings to you all as well.
For watching.
Tiki Rockton.
Say have a great day.
Have a good day.
I love you.
I love you.
See you soon.
Soon.
Hey, bye. Rachel.
Mwah. Whee!